The moment the words left his mouth, Jacob Mercer felt the room fall into a silence so heavy it almost had weight. What was supposed to be a careless joke suddenly felt like a life-changing mistake. He had laughed when he said it, expecting the moment to dissolve into awkward office humor. But instead of laughing back, his boss simply looked at him with eyes that carried a quiet storm, and calmly told him that if he meant even a fraction of that joke, he should stay with her that night. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that one unexpected moment can change a life forever, take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who loves emotional stories, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that stay with you long after they end. Jacob Mercer never imagined his life would turn into something that felt like a movie scene. He was 27, living in a cramped studio apartment in downtown Cleveland, working late nights as a junior analyst in a small investment firm. His life was simple and, if he was honest, painfully predictable. Every morning he woke up before sunrise, drank cheap coffee, caught the train, and spent his day staring at spreadsheets under fluorescent lights. But the one thing that made his routine bearable was his boss, Victoria Hayes. Victoria was known around the office as a woman who had built everything herself. In her early 40s, sharp-minded and always composed, she had climbed from poverty to become the firm's youngest partner. People respected her. Some feared her. But very few actually knew her. Jacob was one of the few who had glimpsed something different behind that strong exterior. Late nights at the office sometimes revealed the quiet loneliness in her eyes when everyone else had gone home. She worked harder than anyone Jacob had ever seen. Yet sometimes, when she thought nobody was watching, she would stare out of the window at the glowing city skyline as if searching for something she had lost a long time ago. For months, Jacob admired her from a distance. Not in a dramatic romantic way at first, but in the quiet way people admire someone who seems unbreakable. Then came the night everything changed. It was nearly 9 p.m., and the office was empty except for the two of them. Rain hammered the windows, turning the city outside into a blur of lights and shadows. Jacob had just finished fixing a financial report Victoria had been struggling with for hours. Exhausted and running on caffeine and nerves, he walked into her office to drop off the file. She looked up from her desk, her expression softer than usual. Something about the moment felt strangely human, like two people who had been pretending to be strong all day were finally allowed to breathe. Jacob tried to lighten the mood. With a tired smile and a joking tone, he said something ridiculous. He told her that after working together so much, maybe they should just get married and make the partnership official. He expected her to roll her eyes. Instead, she stared at him quietly. Not angry. Not amused. Just thinking. Then she said something that made Jacob's heart slam against his ribs. She told him that if he was brave enough to say something like that, he should stay with her that night and see if he truly meant it. The joke evaporated instantly. Jacob felt the weight of reality hit him. Victoria Hayes was not just his boss. She was a woman who had survived hardships he could barely imagine. A woman who had built walls around herself for years, and somehow, in a moment of careless humor, he had stepped right into the center of those walls. The rain outside grew heavier as Jacob sat in the chair across from her desk, unsure what to say next. The room felt charged with emotion neither of them had planned. Victoria finally began telling him pieces of her story. She spoke about growing up in a struggling neighborhood outside Detroit, about nights when dinner was uncertain, about working 2 jobs through college just to survive. She talked about relationships that had failed because her ambition frightened people, and about the loneliness that success sometimes brings. Jacob listened quietly, realizing that behind the powerful woman everyone admired was someone who had simply wanted what most people want, someone to stay. Hours passed as the storm outside slowly faded. Something changed between them that night. It wasn't the reckless romance Jacob had jokingly suggested. It was something deeper and far more unexpected. Two people who had spent years building walls suddenly found themselves lowering them, piece by piece. In the weeks that followed, their connection grew in ways neither of them predicted. They started having coffee together in the mornings before the office filled up. They walked through the city after work, talking about dreams they had once buried under responsibility. Victoria began smiling more. Jacob began believing his life could be bigger than survival. And eventually, what started as a joke became something real. Not perfect. Not easy. But honest. Months later, on a quiet autumn evening in a small park along Lake Erie, Jacob asked Victoria a question he once joked about. But this time there was no laughter behind it. Only sincerity. Before we reach the ending, here is a special request. If this story is touching your heart so far, pause for a moment and comment the word hope below. It helps more people discover stories like this. Victoria didn't answer immediately when Jacob asked her the question. She simply looked at the lake, the sunset reflecting across the water. For the first time in years, she felt something she had forgotten. Peace. She realized that love had arrived in her life in the most unexpected way possible, through a tired joke on a rainy night. And sometimes, the most powerful moments in life begin exactly like that. Not planned. Not perfect. Just real. And if this story moved you, reminded you that kindness, patience, and second chances still exist in the world, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in love and unexpected beginnings, and subscribe to the channel so we can continue telling stories that remind us all that even the smallest moment can change a life forever.